Okay, here we go. We are plotting a smooth curve for an equation, and we're using this example. In this example, we're using Microsoft Excel 2003. Here I've outlined the steps that we go through to do this. Here's the equation we're going to try and plot. Not try, we're actually going, there is no try, there's only do or do not. So we'll try and plot this, or we'll plot this. So we'll start with entering the X and Y column headings. I'll do an X and a Y here. I like things centered, so we'll just tell it to center those. Again, bold is nice, and underline. It doesn't really matter for this. We're not showing this part. Okay, so the first thing we do is enter the initial x value, and that would be 0.0. And there it is, and right now it's just displaying to no decimal places. And the second thing we want is enter a formula to get the next x value after that. We're going to plot from x equals 0 to x equals 5. So the next point we want is very close to 0, but we just want to take the x value that was the previous x value. In this case it's A16, so it's column A, row 16. Take whatever's in that cell and add 0.1 to it. In other words, we're going to plot every 0.1 along the way. So now I take this, and instead of typing 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, I'm going to duplicate it. So I select this formula here, this cell, and I go to the lower right corner, and by dragging it down, I can ask the computer to duplicate it for me, and I'm guessing I'll have to go to about here. Oops, a little too far, so I'll just get rid of these. Right. Okay, so you can see that if I just click on this one, you can see that it's cell A63 is cell A62 plus 0.1. So the nice thing about this duplicating thing like this is that the Excel program advances the cell references so that you always get 0.1 more than the previous one because that's the formula you suggested. And now let's go over here to the y value. Now we're going to enter a formula for the first y value. And here's the formula we want to plot, so we're going to actually enter that. I start with an equal sign to tell Excel to compute something. I say 2.3 plus 7.4 times x squared. So what's the value of x? Well, the associated value of x from this cell is this thing, A16. What's in A16? Here's A and 16. And I could type A16 times A16 to get x squared. But the real way is to do an up arrow and then the value that you want, in this case 2. So we're going to square it like that. Now I hit enter and it computes it for me, and this is what we would expect if x was equal to 0, y would just equal 2.3. But now we'd like to keep it going by doing this duplicate, same as we did over here. We click on this cell, we go to the lower right, and we drag it all the way down as far as the x values went to right there and let it go. And now it's computing automatically all the y values according to this function. We could make this look pretty. It's not really necessary for the plot, but if you're obsessive compulsive like I am, you can do this. Do a right click or a control click on a Mac, format cells, number. I'll tell it to do 2 decimal places. I could do more or less, but 2 is fine. So if I do that, I get a nice display there. This is not important for this, but it might be important for other data tables you wanted to display. Now it's time to plot this thing. So we go up here to the chart wizard, that's so-called in Excel, and click on that. And for virtually all the plots we do in this class, it'll be an XY scatter. So we select that, go to next. And now we have to tell it what data we're talking about. And the data, the way Excel talks about data collections is called a series. So we're going to add a series, and we have to add x values and y values. First we tell it the x values. We click on this little box here, and then select all the x values. So here it goes, down to 5. Good. And I hit enter. Now it knows what the x values are. Now I'm going to tell it the y values. I click again and select again. Notice I can select from the bottom up since that's where I ended up with the x. Go up to here. Now I hit enter again. And now you can see it's already starting to plot here. So now we go to next. And legends. Legend is this thing over here. Usually I don't really care about that, so I just get rid of it. We do want titles on our thing, so we're going to say This is y as a function of x. No, let's call this y equals 2.3 times, no, plus 7.4 x squared. And on the x-axis, later on we'll have detailed descriptions of what goes on the x and y-axis labels, but now it's y values, that's all. Okay, and you can see they're appearing here, here, and here. Next, we're basically done. So here's our plot, but you'll notice it's a whole bunch of points. The goal for this thing is a smooth curve. So let me just grab this and bring it over here. We'll make it a little bigger just to make this smooth. Right now, the default is it just plots these points as individuals, but you come over here and click on one of these, right click or control click with a Mac, and we want to format the data series. Remember, this is a series of data. We want to format it. We do not want a marker. That's what the individual points are. They are markers. So instead of saying automatically do a marker, no marker. And now we want a continuous line, so instead of saying no line, we want automatic. But light blue is a lousy color for this. Let's make it black for now. We could make the line thicker, that's what weight is, and we could make it dashed if we wanted, or, well, I guess here are thickers as well. There's some way to make it dashed, I forget. Anyhow, it's not important. This is what we're doing, and now we bring it back and say OK, and bingo, we have a nice smooth plot of our equation here. A few fine points here. You'll notice that the axes are to 2 decimal places, probably because we use 2 here. If I do a right click here or a control click here and say format axes, I can go to number again, and instead of telling it to do it to 2 decimal places, I want to get rid of this stuff because it doesn't really tell me anything. So I say OK, and bingo, it's gone. I could do the same thing down here, but I don't need to. So now you see we've plotted the function here, 2.3, there's the initial value, the intercept, and up it goes. So that's how to plot a smooth curve, not a bunch of dots, but a smooth curve for an equation in Microsoft Excel 2003.